Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Business Growth Made Easy podcast, where we help salon professionals scale personally and professionally to grow more profits with less stress. And today I have an amazing guest with me, the beautiful Mary Wilson. She's CEO and owner of the Wilson Collective, an industry icon. And if you don't know her, you're missing out. Welcome, Mary.
Hi, Maria. Thanks for having me. It's great
Oh,
to
you're
be here.
so welcome. You're so welcome. So tell everyone in the audience, we have a large salon professional community globally who follows this podcast. Tell them a little bit about yourself if they don't know you yet, and what you do, what your magic is, and what you're here to bring to the world after so many years in the industry as an icon.
Thank you. I would love to do that. So, yeah, when you say icon, it sounds like it might be a 30-minute intro, right? So, I'll try to do the Reader's Digest version. I grew up in the industry. My mom is a hairdresser. And so it's kind of all that I ever knew. And when I was 7 years old, I watched my mom transform my grandmother from these long braids that she wore on top of her head into this short hairstyle. And I saw her emerge as literally as a new person. And when I saw that, I thought, wow, the power of that, not the physical change, but the emotional change. I was like,
Yes.
that's it, I'm hooked. And so when I was in school, I didn't really have that creative side. I didn't really realize till later that that's why I kind of decided not to go behind the chair. If someone came in with long straight hair and said, do whatever you want, I'd be like, oh no, I don't want that responsibility. So even though I enjoyed watching it, it wasn't there for me on the creative side. Maybe because I didn't play with dolls and I wasn't the kid that was experimenting with hair. So I respected it and waited till I was in school, and then I was terrified. So years later, when I met my husband and we were on platform together, and he would just create stuff on stage, I was like, how did you even come up with that? And it just flowed through him. So I realized that that wasn't me. So I decided to go more into the marketing side, the sales side. I've worked for a lot of manufacturers, big companies, L'Oreal, Matrix, Redken, Farouk Systems for a while, and marketing and education. I've done platform. So I've done everything but work behind the chair. And as those years evolved, I had an opportunity to meet and spend time with, I should say, Ann Mincy when she was
Oh,
writing her
love
book,
her.
Get Glowing. And we were both doing something. I was actually working for the Global Salon Business Awards as the North American ambassador. And I was at a show with her, and I was representing we were launching a credit card, like during the last crash. And I was like, I don't believe, it was weird because, I was going, I don't believe people need another credit card. And I'm sitting here at the table saying, you want to win this iPad? And I was just feeling like this isn't feeling good, right?
Right,
So
right.
we were talking before about what feels good and what flows. And so Anne and we had worked together at Redken. We had been colleagues at Redken. We had worked in the same building, passed on the escalators when I was with Matrix and she was with Redken, but we weren't friends. We were colleagues who respected each other and had a friendship. So she gifts me her book, and I'm reading it because I have a lot of extra time because no one wants a new credit card. And I'm reading it and I'm thinking how we get books and we read books and we highlight, or we put a sticky note, and we go to a conference and we say, okay, I'm going to apply these things when I get
Right.
back. And then you're back and you just put the book away. And so I said to her, I said, what would you think if I created an experience where people could come together and have practices that would work around these 5 points: body, thoughts and emotions, relationships, your resources, finances, and other, and then giving back. And she was like, well, that would be great. I wouldn't know how to do that, but if you want to put something together,
Right.
I'm all on board. And so here we are almost 20 years later, 18 years later. We've done 17, I think, in that time. We used to do 2 a year. Now we just do it in May. And so through the evolution of that, we've become best friends. We hold each other accountable in all these areas because we
Love
know
it.
that we're going to be speaking on it again. So it's really important
I love
for
that.
us. We just did one last weekend, which was a reunion. So we have about 200 people that over the years have been through the experience. And then we have a second level where we can gather with fellow sisters who've been to the retreat
Mhm.
and share where we're at. So kind of update, share stories, successes. And we just did that last weekend in Palm Springs.
I love that.
Oh, and to see people in person, oh, it was such a, it was almost like shocking to come eye to eye with Bonnie Conti and Rowena Yeager. And it was like, wow, you're here in front of me. So
I think we miss that so much. I know I miss that. I always had live events. I live at the Jersey Shore, so I would have beautiful live events here. I had live events in Italy, and I feel like I'm really excited to get back to that because it's been like just we miss that. I miss that terribly. So
yeah.
that brings me to you do a lot of, taking care of yourself, self-care. Tell us a little bit about what that involves and how that's a game changer for our industry. And I think especially now more than ever, we need to focus on that to not go down that black hole of negativity.
Yeah. So in 2019, when Philip and I launched our company as a brand new baby, so we launched our hair care line behind us and our education. We did that by choosing to purchase an RV. We wrapped the RV and we drove around the country for 7 months. And so I knew that that would be kind of like an out of body experience. And so I took my black tourmaline, which is a crystal that helps you stay grounded. We have a huge chunk that's like right in the RV. We take turns holding it because it helps to stay grounded. I had my bicycle on the back. I was preparing for a ride. So I also cycle and do yoga. And the reality is that in that 7 months, I really lost touch with all of those things that keep me sane. Right. So when COVID hit and we were we were out on the road actually up in Oregon and Washington when it happened, and we had another 3 weeks of travel making our way back. And then we came back and I realized that all those things that I had learned to do, I wasn't practicing. So what I do now is I started taking yoga classes. I teach yoga, but again, it's another thing. I learned the skill for our retreats. I never was seeking a job in a yoga studio. Maybe someday I'll own one. That's
Never
definitely
know.
a dream. Yeah. So everyone can get that yoga glow that we all had last weekend.
I love
I I returned thanks to Christine Zielinski, who I saw speak on the Beauty Biz Reset. I returned to reading, journaling, meditating, and I returned to yoga. And as I returned to yoga, I realized that as I was taking the class online, I was teaching it in my head. And I thought, you know what, I should just start teaching. It will force me to get back on the mat. So I think anytime that we challenge ourselves to show up and be somewhere and do something with other people, we're going to
Yes.
be held more accountable in ourselves. And so a year later, I've been teaching yoga every Monday on Zoom. Everyone's invited at no charge. Someone recently said, you should charge us. And I said, I don't want to charge. For me, it's such a pleasure to have that experience. So what yoga does for me is it connects the breath
Mhm.
with the movement. So what I find as I'm working with people is that a lot of people are not even present in their body.
You're so right. I agree with you. I find that all the time, especially in our industry. They're like very disconnected,
Hinged.
yeah, unhinged. Exactly. Yeah, totally not grounded at all and not present in the moment. So true.
Yeah. So to be connected to your body, which is one of the 5 points of the star that we talk about, it's truly is everything. I was reading actually this morning. I was reviewing. So when I read books too, I will circle back and do them again. I read 3 or 4 books that I had read in the past few years. I'm like, oh, I'm going to read whatever arises, love that again, and
Yep,
you're going to get something different out of it based on where you're at right
absolutely.
now. So I was reading John C. Maxwell's Today Matters,
Love it.
and talking his section on health. And I love that basically he says, if you're in a bad relationship, you can get away from that. If you're in a job you don't like, you can leave that,
Right,
but you cannot leave your body.
right.
Wherever you go, that's where it is. So we have to take really good care of it.
Yes.
What we put into it, how we move it, making sure that we have the proper care, doctors and such. And I think, in 2020, that was also, it was kind of the excuse not to go to the doctor. Well, we don't want to get COVID, so we're not going to have our blood drawn, or we don't want to get COVID, we're not going to go to the gynecologist. So 2021 could be a really important year to just check back in with your doctors and getting your teeth cleaned and all those things, because even though people are disconnected from their bodies, they're impacted by it, of course,
Yes.
um, and so it's really kind of setting those goals and saying, okay, this is what's important to me, and not just what's important to me, but here's what I'm going to set a goal, and here's what I'm going to do, and this is the reward I'm going to receive by doing it. Because just to recognize that you need to change something is not enough. That's what I've learned. It's like, okay, this is my list, and I'm going to start with one category, and I am actually starting with health and body, because I feel everything else will flow out of that. And then, of course, thoughts and emotions are so important. You and I were talking about how many people went through what might be considered trauma
Yeah.
in 2020. And so everyone has stress, everyone has things that can create stress. So for us, it's more about, what can you do to manage that? What are you doing inside your own head? Because we all live right up here, right? So are we connecting physically? Are we doing the things that we need to do that keep us connected and grounded? And are we stopping those negative thoughts and emotions and shifting them to gratitude, to finding purpose, to helping others? Like, on my worst days last year, I would say, okay, who can I touch today? Who can I reach out to today that I can make feel a little bit better?
Oh my God. I hear that all the time. People are like, Maria, why do you give so much? Why are you giving people all this stuff? Why are you sharing all the time? Why are you giving value? And I said, you know what? It's part of my mission on this planet. I'm a healer. Yes, I'm a businesswoman, but I am a healer in my soul. So it's great. Again, you said you have to recognize what's going on, but then you have to have a clear intention. And then I call them rituals that you implement. And those are game changers, right, Mary? They're game changers.
Yeah, that's awesome. And it's so funny because and I don't want to say the person's name, but someone said to me, well, if you charged us for yoga, I would feel better about it. And I said, that's your problem, not mine.
Right. That's a you problem.
Your guilt is something that you got to figure out. This is my gift. And like you, yeah, it is funny. And that, I love that you said that, because to me, one of the most important things is keeping an open heart. There's no too much or too little. We all have capacity for more. And are you open to that? Do you receive that spirit you and I were talking about? And that's one of the things I admire so much about my friend Annie, is that she was talking about spirit and God and her
Yeah.
faith. She was talking about that 30 years ago, and it was not easy for her to do that. It was not always well received. And as you said, now, if there's ever a time, have faith in something, have faith, have hope for a brighter future. What do we got to lose, right?
I remember first time I saw Anne um, on stage. It was in Woodbridge, New Jersey. I mean, I was a kid. I was just new, and I'll never forget. It was at a show. I think the Emiliani show. I mean, I can't even remember now going back, but and I remember that impacted me. And I speak openly of being super intuitive in business. I speak openly of spirituality, of mindset, of energy. And you know why? Because that has changed and impacted my lives in the life. And I always say, Mary, right? Let's be honest. There's boundaries, and boundaries, again, I know you'll agree with this. When you give something for free, it's because you want to. When you do something with unconditional love, that's awesome. There's a time and a place to charge, and to charge appropriately for your gifts, talents, and skills. But if you're doing something, there has to be no underlying motive, just because you want to. And I think this is where a lot of people have to realize that they're two separate things. As long as you're doing it from your heart, that's okay. And yes, there is a time for charging handsomely for services well rendered. And that is all about abundance and prosperity too.
Mhm.
So if I
Yeah,
was
I
to say
love that.
what are probably the one or two most important things that our salon professionals who I have to be honest with you, I've talked to a lot of people in the past few weeks, and I see a lot of people really down in the dumps, even people who I'm surprised to hear they're down in the dumps,
Mhm.
but they're going through a lot financially. It depends what part of the world they're at, what their businesses have been through. What's your inspiration? And what do you think is the one to two things that they can walk away from this video, this podcast, and implement into their lives?
Well, I think that there's the recognition that these have been challenging times. I was thinking, we and not just financially, but also emotionally, and all the things that are going on in regards to human rights, to Black Lives Matter, to women rising up. I was thinking about the Roaring Twenties. I believe that our Roaring Twenties are going to be finding our voice.
I do.
And I think that's a really great thing. So I feel like there's still some turmoil, and I think people have to be really grounded in who they are and stay true to that, because fear makes you sometimes make decisions that don't resonate with your true self, that don't. And I'm trying to think of an example. So for example, in our company, we do not market to the consumer, right? We believe that we want to support salons and provide them with the tool that they can say, yes, you can buy this online, but it's $4 higher online than it is here in the salon. So we've created situations that will help salons keep that sale in the salon. So over the last year, we could have said, oh, the only way we can sell now is online. We need to shift like everyone else, like everything is digital now, so maybe I'm just old and I'm old school and I really want to stay to that sport. But that's my one of my core values
Right.
is supporting salons. So if I did something against that, then I would feel bad in the long run. So to answer your question of what do I feel like stylists need to do, is I think that they need to show up every day in service, exactly like you said, each client in service. Like you, I've heard people say that clients are still maybe coming and seeing you the first person they're seeing, even a year later.
Right.
So, how to preserve that energy and taking the deep breath between clients. I think not taking things personally, right? So, we have to be really, again, something I was reading this morning, as long as you know that you're doing incredible work, you can't let what other people say or think about it impact you, right? Because it's likely they're just having a really crappy day and they decide they're going to take it out on you, right? So always show up
Yeah.
with your 100%, knowing that, do everything you can to learn new skills and understand your products and know your color inside and out, and then show up to serve and let the rest go. I do think that stylists should always be marketing. How are you getting new clients? The reality is that it is shifting and changing. A lot of salons have closed. So if salons have closed in your area, where are those clients going? Everyone that is still alive and everyone that is still in the game should be able to be successful now.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it's about bringing more emotional intelligence, leaving the negativity at the door, being really present in that moment, and really saying, you know what, this isn't going to last forever. Let me cultivate what I have in front of me right now, taking those deep breaths between clients. And I'm a real big proponent, and I think you are of this too. Put yourself in the calendar for self-care. I don't care if it's going to yoga, right? I don't care if it's having a healthy, beautiful lunch, just sitting in your car and with the windows, whatever that looks like. It could be anything, reading a book for 10 minutes, whatever that looks like. It's just so important. And I know you really cultivate that in your life and in your business.
Definitely. Yeah. Yeah. I think it's everything, because first we have to take care of ourselves and then we can take care of others. Right. So and I love what you said too. It's interesting because when you sit in a car, it's like an enclosed chamber. It's a great place to meditate,
Yeah.
just to go to your car and take a few breaths and release. Maybe you had a bad experience with a client. It's like, are we carrying that around with us all day? Or are we able to release those emotions that go along with that and say, okay, now I'm recharged at 100% and I want to show up for the next person, and not have expectations, like you said, that we're, oh no, this person's coming in and she's always difficult. Are we manifesting that? Are we
Right.
drawing that in? Do
I
we
believe that
expect
you are.
her?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do we expect her to act that way? And then she does, so yeah, be careful.
Be careful what you think about, because you bring about. So I know, Mary and I are definitely covering a lot of spiritual topics. We're covering a lot of manifesting energy, law of attraction, and again, if this is new to you and you're listening to this, you're like, what the heck are they talking about? you know, reach out to us. I'm sure I'm happy to always share more. And it's really just about, guys, we're all made of energy and we're all in this lifetime. And, as Mary said, it's really taking care of our container, which are bodies, that allow us to show up at our jobs as CEOs, as salon owners, as, whatever it is you want to be that day, a great wife, a great mother, a great lover, like whatever that is, just a great woman, a great human. It's so important. So Mary, what's our closing statement? What's our takeaway for today, and what everyone's just got to really implement, and it's going to be the game changer for them.
Well, the first thing I would say is that no one's life is easy. So don't covet what others have. Be happy for everyone for whatever they have. Know that everyone has their own struggles. And every day the sun rises to a new opportunity. So it's not too late to be the best you that you can be and try to find those blessings. And I know it has not been easy for people. It hasn't been easy for me. We've all had challenges, being hopeful for the future. And as we said, planning, strategizing, what can I do? What can I do that can make a difference today? And that builds on the future. So what we do today helps us to build on the future.
Oh, Mary, thank you so much for all your wisdom. Thank you so much for sharing your amazing time with me and being here. Guys, everything's going to be in the descriptions. You can connect with Mary Wilson, her amazing line of products. I'm going to be dropping everything where you can connect with her. You can connect with her brand. It's all going to be in the description. I want to thank you, Mary, again, for your wisdom, your beautiful energy and spirit today, and sharing your magic with our audience. Thank you so much for being with me.
Thank you. It's my pleasure. Nice to meet you too. People probably think we've been friends for 100 years and we just met today. So definitely kindred spirits.
And I'm going to say one last thing before we sign off. Surround yourself with like-minded people. Like attracts like, and there's nothing more powerful. We've never met before in person, but now we have an amazing connection that's going to last a lifetime. I can tell already.
Yeah, me too. Wonderful.
So sending lots of love and light to everybody. Have a great day, everyone. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.